There are two kinds of feelings that will remain in our body until we are not liberated. One is desire, and the second is expectation. Both of them, desire and expectations, arise from the Manomai Sharir, the third kosha. The outermost is the Annamai, followed by Pranamai, followed by Manomai, followed by Gyanmai, followed by Anandamai. Now, to reach Anand, you have to start from An and reach in Anand. This transition will require slowly shedding off, like the peels of an onion, your different outer layers. So, when we talk about desires and expectations, both of them are housed in the third layer, the Manomai Sharir. But the genesis is different. When Avyakta Bhutani Vyakta Madhyani Bharata Vyakta Nidhanya Tatra Ka Paridevana, everything starts as unmanifest, transiently becomes manifest, and then goes back to unmanifest. So why are you crying and lamenting the transitional? The Manomai Sharir represents this transitional stage where you are manifesting the reservoir of your thoughts and feelings. Thoughts as desires and the reflections back from the universe. What you throw out in the universe reflects back to you. Just like a boomerang, it will come back to you, are the expectations. So the desires are the thoughts we intrinsically generate, and expectations are what we are getting back from the universe. Now, you can also understand it in terms of the layers, the 5 layers in which we exist. The bottommost layer is the body, followed by senses, followed by mind, followed by buddhi, delineating intellect, followed by ego, followed by soul. So each of them has a particular cardinal trait in the realm of manifestation. The body is the perceiver of every input that you have put inside this manifest Panch Mahabhut Sharir. Bhumi Raponalo Vayu Kham Mano Buddhirevcha Ahankaritya Me Vinna Prakriti Rashdha. The Prakriti is distinguished into these 8 different things: fire, earth, air, water, ether, Manas, Buddhi, Ahamkar. So all these are portions of Prakriti. Manas, Buddhi, Ahamkar. So you see, everything except the soul is a manifestation of Prakriti. The soul is a manifestation of Purusha. Purusha as in the consciousness. The consciousness is the divide between the Prakriti and the Purusha. Now, once you know that the inputs that we have today are a representation of the activities we have committed till date, the karma. As your karma, so is your body, so is your all the manifest portions of the Prakriti. So as is your karma, so is your body, so are your senses, so is your mind, and so your buddhi. Only thing that is not affected by karma is the soul. The soul is covered by these sheets. The soul is bound to the karma by the karma bandhan, Karan Sharir, and that Karan Sharir will manifest based on the quality of the karmas into the different reincarnations that you're going into. So, when there are generation, everything is intrinsic. In the Atman, there is Ichha Shakti. There is what we call motivation. Now, before I go into the 2 kinds of motivations, let's understand that motivation itself is intrinsic to the Atman. Desire is intrinsic to the mind, but motivation is intrinsic to the Atman. That is why the genesis of motivation is little more complex than the genesis of the mind or the desire. The desire originates in Manomai Sharir. You have a ego, identity, and then you have some surrounding influences, associations, gunas around you. And the interplay, when you have a object, you have object of sensual gratification. You have a receptor, you have a ligand, what attaches to. You have a lock and a key. So that is the structure of the ego identity when it combines with your association, influencing association in Prakriti at the level of bodies, at the level of senses, perception. That creates your desires. Now, desires can meet one of the two expectations, I should say outcomes. A desire can be fulfilled, in which case you will get peaceful transiently. You might get more agitated because you want more of it, but at least that desire has been fulfilled. So desires can get fulfilled or they remain unfulfilled. And when they remain unfulfilled chronically, they become expectations. What distinguishes fulfillment, manifestation of desires versus unfulfillment remaining as expectations? As you can identify, desires which are fulfilled lead to peace. Desires which remain unfulfilled as expectations and chronically unfulfilled as expectations initially build up as frustration and finally end up as suffering. So, Jam Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukh Doshanu Darshanam, the four things that lead to suffering in this world, Jan Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, all of them are at the level of the body, because body is the final repository, registry, reservoir of the manifest outcomes that you can visually see in an individual. As your karmas, so your body. As your karma, so your senses. As your karma, so your mind. As your karma, so your buddhi. As your karma, so your identities. But as your karma, not your soul. The soul gets stuck with the karma to create the different kinds of bodies. Make better bodies means make better karmas to create better bodies, so that the high quality lower layers can work in sync with the soul to create liberation. So, what distinguishes fulfillment of desires leading to peace versus unfulfilled expectations leading to suffering? Motivation. The motivation, the right word in Hindi is Ichha Shakti. The energy that arises intrinsically within you. Now, motivation in English is the closest translation, can be of two kinds. Motivation that comes from kernel of your existence, more so because of your past lives and your past learnings, which we call dedication. It does not require an outside motor to run. Versus, there is sometimes an external influence, association, what we call material modes of nature, the gunas associating with the Atman to create certain karmas, sattva, rajas, tamas. That is called inspiration. So you see, there can be good inspiration and bad inspiration. An alcoholic goes to Alcoholic Anonymous because he's trying to create sattva out of his past experiences. But if he will fall with a bad influence, who's drinking all day, then he will fall into his repeated cycle of drinking again. For any vice, tamas is very strong and sticky. Sattva, 100 steps of sattva can be negated by one down step of tamas. Tamas is like an elevator which brings you down, versus sattva is like a slow moving escalator, one step at a time. So it takes time. Sattva takes time to build, tamas happens instantly. It's like reputation. It takes years to build and 1 second to destroy. So that is why deterioration can happen much faster than upliftment in the realm of Prakriti. So we have to understand that the Ichha Shakti or motivation, for lack of a better term, arises in the soul, and it's furthered by two forces. One is extremely intrinsic, arising from the sanskaras, which we call dedication, or it can be from the influencing associations around you, your current karmas and your prarabdha unfolding, which is called destiny, which is called inspiration. So you have to have either from within you as dedication, or you can outsource it from outside and bring it to in your system, which is dedication. Either ways, you need inspiration and dedication. You need motivation And that is the only way you will work. You will put your body, mind, intellect, ego all in a line so that you can work to achieve what you have wanted. And that is the role of affirmations, belief, visualization. That is when Jim Carrey says, I wrote a check of 10,000 or maybe $1 million and carried in my wallet all the time for acting services rendered before even he had the money. So that level of commitment, there is a madness in pursuit of what you have thought. And that is what generates purpose. That is where purpose comes from this intrinsic motivation that I will obtain it. Jim Carrey doesn't need to be inspired to become a Hollywood actor. It is within his system. You can say it is from his past learnings, leanings, but that purpose is very high level. Roger Federer playing tennis, Sachin Tendulkar playing cricket, these are all uh, demonstrations of God mode. These are all manifestations of intrinsic dedication in that individual to the point of madness where nothing else matters. Your mind is totally absorbed in the object, which is either tennis or cricket or acting in case of Jim Carrey. And that is how the strong Ichha Shakti gets you to your success level. You are successful. You obtain what you went for. And then you are very happy with your life because you have found your purpose and you have served your purpose. So you see how there was generation of a purpose from desire, but also the body, mind, intellect, and senses and identity, ego, are all working in sync with your purpose, with your desire to obtain it, and then you are satisfied. Now, on the opposite end are people, 99% of the other folks who are not as good tennis players as Roger Federer or cricket players as Sachin Tendulkar or actors like Jim Carrey, but they still have this smoldering wish, a desire to obtain something. But the problem is that the structure of the body, the infrastructure, if you will, the body, mind, body, mind, senses, and the ego are not working in line. You are telling your mind, I'll wake up at 4, and then you're pulling up the blanket and sleeping. So there is a dissociation between what your soul wants and what your mind wants. So you haven't aligned your infrastructure, your koshas, the pranamayi sharir, which has the energy generation portion, the annamayi sharir, the body, the manomay sharir. And there is distortion because these are not lined together, because the gyan is not there. And gyan is not there, understanding is not there, and the application is not there. So there is some divergence both at the level of pranamayi sharir and gyanmayi sharir. That is why the manomay sharir is not vibrating the way you want it to be. There is this disparate level of wanting. One reason is that you are not single pointed in your desire. Bahushaka heyantaj buddha vayasaina. Person of multifaceted, multi-branched desires is never successful. Single pointedness of purpose is extremely important for success. Rockefeller. That is why if you are single-minded in playing well, you wake up 4 o'clock and go practice for 4 hours like Virat Kohli, you become successful cricketer. But if you have multiple ideas in your mind that you want a little bit of food, little bit of sex, little bit of gambling, these different vices will distract you so much that the single pointed purposeness is not there, and hence you cannot align your forces of your infrastructure on the body, senses, mind, ego together, and you fail. When you fail, you get expectations, acutely frustration, chronically depression, and that leads to suffering. Janm, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi will be reflected in the future bodies. So it is better to not have desires, but once you have the desires, those have to be extinguished or fulfilled. Extinguished is the path of nigraha, fulfilled is the path of manifestation. Most of the times they have to be fulfilled because you are not a sannyasi that can do nigraha on a regular basis. So either don't breed the desires. Once you have bred the desires, align your manas, buddhi, ahamkar, chit. Align your forces of the infrastructure to obtain it. to manifest it, because this is the realm of manifestation. We need purposes. We have the Mahabhut, Bhumi Rapanolo Vayu Kham Mano Buddhir Vahankaritim, and we have to put them in line to obtain our activities. So, my friends, in short, there is identity or ego that you have been imparted at the time of birth. That identity now tries to interact with the prakriti around it, which we call associations or gunas, and hence there is germination of a thought in the mind called desire. Desire is born in the manomaya sharir. The desire now interacts with the higher power, the energy motor, prana shakti, that you have in your pranamaya sharir, and it uses the utility of the annamaya sharir or the body, but what we call is ichha shakti in the soul. So the ichha shakti interacts with the desire or ichha to create either a manifestation of the desire in the universe, vyakt, you get what you wanted, and then you are peaceful again. But if you have this identification, association, and somehow you're not able to have the ichha shakti in your soul, either through extrinsic inspiration or intrinsic dedication, then you fail to obtain what you want. Most likely, the malalignment of the axis, the body, senses, mind, ego, four of them are not aligning with the soul, ichha shakti, is because you are multifaceted in what you are looking for. You have to have single pointedness of purpose to obtain what you want. When you don't have the single pointedness purpose, you don't have that moho, you don't have that energy, then you have suffering. And motivation separates peace from suffering, because when the desires are fulfilled, you are peaceful. When expectations are unfulfilled, there is suffering. And when you have unfulfillment, there is envy, there is jealousy, there is negativity. Envy is the ulcer of the soul. You make bad karmas, you create bad bodies, mind, senses, and that is why you're on a downtrodden path of negativity versus peaceful positivity that you could have obtained by having Ichha Shakti in your soul. Jai Shri Ram.